And then there were four teams left in the college football playoff. We've got a Final Four, and what a Final Four it is. Ole Miss, Indiana, Oregon, Miami, just like everybody thought. Crazy season in college football and a great opportunity to make some money. Welcome to our College Football Playoff Semifinal Best Bet and Props episode. Welcome, football fans, to another edition of the Degen Docs here on the DFSG Plus channel. What is up, folks? College football playoffs, Final Four, 4 teams left. Craziness. Underdogs winning outright, dominating games. We've got a great 2 matchups here. What is up, folks? I am one of your hosts here, the Doc, and more importantly, I am joined by my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, a.k.a. Professor Locks. How we doing tonight, brother?
Not too bad. Just gearing up for Penn State and Clemson to – oh, wait, they already played in the Pinstripe Bowl. I guess the preseason rankings didn't know absolute shit.
No, what a year, man. NIL, parity, Alabama gone, Ohio State gone, Georgia gone, no Clemson, no Penn State. Wow, oh, wow. Look, folks, if this is your first time joining us, cheers to you. Welcome. Thanks for joining a couple of yahoos here. This is the College Football Playoff Semifinal Best Bets. A little bit of show structure, expectation management, what to expect. Typically, we do a college football 6-pack every season of the year. Been having some great success there, but there's only 2 games, so it's pretty simple what we're going to do. We will talk round 2 reactions a little bit, talk some banner, transfer portal stuff. We'll talk just the future prices, give an update. Probably not advisable to go ahead and do a future at this point. Might as well mechanical parlay. But we will break down the college football semifinal games. We have 2 elite matchups. 2 teams that have not seen it. Well, one pair has seen each other. 1 rematch and 1 SEC ACC matchup here. We've got the game pick. We've got over-under talk. We've got props. We've got touchdowns. We've got it all here at the Degen Docs. And hey, if you've been rocking with us all season, double cheers to you. Thanks for rocking with us here as we close out this college football season. And what a season it has been.
No doubt.
I mean, every week we're getting more and more upsets, parity. People think things were supposed to go this way and everything's supposed to go to script and it's all about stars and rankings. Right. And this season really flipped it on its head. So curious, my friend, what are your round 2 reactions from last weekend?
All
that go down in your eyes. What were your big takeaways?
Yeah, we as a show, we had a pretty decent week last week. One of us a little bit better than the other one, but to me, based on my picks, it went about as I expected. Obviously, I thought my Buckeyes, wouldn't necessarily throw a pick 6 and wouldn't necessarily start as slow as they did and would actually score in the first half. But Miami absolutely dominated up front, which was what I was afraid of. And really basically played them very similarly to how Indiana played them in the Big Ten Championship.
Some would say you gave them the kiss of death there a little bit. You were so good about picking your Buckeyes this season when you picked Miami plus the 9.5. I knew they were in a little bit more trouble than I first thought. So continue on there.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, that Oregon-Texas Tech game, holy smoke, Texas Tech's offense sucked. I mean, we talked about it last week. Those teams that didn't necessarily play in round 1 might start a little bit slow. They were 0-4 the first year. They were 1-3 this year. Only one of those teams. Man. Yeah, Indiana started fast and they didn't slow down in the Rose Bowl. And what a hell of a game to wrap up round 2 of the playoffs. That Ole Miss Georgia game was a barn burner. Trinidad Chambliss, dude, he's the man.
Yes, absolutely. Look, so I have quick 4 notes from each game, very similar to your takeaways. For that first game, Miami, Ohio State, I think Miami's done a really good job, their offensive staff, of simplifying the game for Carson Beck. Yes. We've not had any Carson Beck-esque moments, or Sid the Sloth moments, as they say. They've really done a good job leading on the running game, just not asking him to do that much.
Right.
Now, we'll see if that changes this week based on the matchup. We'll get into that, but that's been really well for Miami.
So it's starting to come on a little bit down there.
And their defense. Baron Morton, a fifth-year senior Texas Tech quarterback who looked like he had not taken 5 snaps in all of college football. What an embarrassing performance. His defense kept trying to bring him back time and time again. Guys, in the running game were making some plays. Man, he was brutal, abysmal to watch, especially as someone who incorrectly picked Texas Tech. That hurt. Kirk Cignetti, holy shit, man. What a dude that man is, raising the eyebrow and the scowl and, all the things that he brought. And, of course, he would be the one to buck that trend of the bye weeks losing outright, and that was dominating. He is that dude in the team. And then, like you said, Trinidad Chambliss rocks. What a great story. I mean, between Indiana and a bunch of, group of 5 lesser misfits that Cignetti's taken. And then you got Ole Miss, who the scumbag that is Lane Kiffin picked himself and money over any morals, anything else about the team. And they are just giving a square FU to Lane Kiffin that all of America, I think, is easily behind. So that's a great story. I mean, the storylines in this college football playoff are amazing.
No doubt.
So very excited about this next round. I do want to quickly talk about, get your thoughts here, because this transfer portal window did open, I believe, on the 2nd of January is when it officially opened. And at one point, there's 4,000 players, I believe a third of all NCAA football athletes in the transfer portal. My initial takeaway is how unsustainable is this model. You get the kids the big names that are going to transfer, your quarterbacks, your high level guys that are going to transfer and make splashes. You get the kids moving up to from the G5 to the Power 4s and vice versa. And then you get a shit ton of kids that no one talks about that are just stuck. And I forget what the number exactly is, if it's 30 or 40% of these kids that just don't get picked up. And the agents, usually parents that are just looking to get some money out of these kids, really give them some poor advice. So curious in your thoughts of the transfer portal and the current landscape of college football in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mess. I mean, it's kind of funny though. You look at these 4 remaining teams,
right?
And Oregon is the one that's homebred. They bring in the high school recruits and
the blue blood, right? Yeah.
No, they're not. I mean, their running backs a transfer, their wide receivers a transfer. I mean,
Dante Moore came from
Dante Moore is a transfer. I think 2 or 3 of their offensive linemen are transfers. So like,
I
think it's one of those things where we're trending in the direction of these blue blood programs, these Power 4 programs are basically just picking the guys that are studs, and
get developed at JMU, at Troy, at Tulane, at Southern Miss,
exactly.
D2 schools,
and which definitely raises the competition of some of those lower level schools like a JMU, like a Tulane, some of those that can go on a little bit of run because they are developing that talent, and then once they do develop them, they pop over to Texas, to Washington, to Nebraska, those blue programs. But as far as some of those guys that are Power 4 athletes to begin with, and they think, well, I don't have a starting spot here, I'm just going to jump somewhere else that I'm going to find a spot, I'm going to get some extra money because everybody's going to want me, and then they don't. That's a tough spot to be in. And to your point, I don't know necessarily how sustainable that aspect is going to be, whether it's, 20 or 30% that just they don't have a landing spot. And will they try to go back to where they were originally? Will that school take them back?
Right.
I personally wouldn't want them. It's like, you left and the grass isn't always greener. But it'll be interesting to see over the next 3 or 4 years how things transgress, I guess.
Yeah, look, I mean, a lot changes fast now in the college games with the playoff system, the transfer portal, NIL, right? I think everyone agrees it's lawless. I think there needs to be some type of stipulation. I like the idea of players getting paid. They should stop getting taken advantage of. I'm all on board with that. But I think you get one transfer, and then after that, you got to sit out a year, excluding, extenuating circumstances.
Yes.
But
Something
right
like
now,
that. Or, hey, if Oregon wants to bring in, or Ohio State wants to bring in this quarterback that they think is going to be a game changer, that's a junior quarterback, maybe they do sprinkle a little bit of money to
that's cool.
JMU or to
Right. Yeah. A little bit of
something like
reparations.
that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, I think that's a little bit fair. Kind of, hey, we're paying you to develop, you're our farm system, right? You're our AA baseball
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
But interesting. We can obviously talk a lot more about that, but we got to get to these picks because it's time to make some money. Talking about making some money, if you listen to a certain somebody on this show, it would be pretty hard not to make money. And that is my co-host here, who's been crushing the college football playoff. Derek went 3-1 on his bets. He hit his lock and his dog. What was the Indiana on the alternate spread, and Oregon. He is 6-2 in the college football playoffs, absolutely crushing it. For myself, a bit middling, 4-4. I did hit the money line dog with Ole Miss. A couple alternate things. Really, that last game, I kind of shoved a little bit, went alternate on the over. The over came in very easily. Nate Frazier, his ladder went very well.
Yeah.
So ultimately, didn't have as great of a day as you, but both came out green. So if you listen to our picks, you should have had a decent round 2. And hopefully you listen to Derek more than my dumbass there. So, all right, getting in. I just want to talk about the future prices. At this point, not sure how much value is there, but we'll kind of just discuss more for discussion purposes. But currently, to win the national championship of the 4 teams, Indiana is your leader in the clubhouse at plus 130. Then you have Miami, the 10 seed, at plus 310. You've got Oregon at plus 320 and Ole Miss at 6-1. Obviously, Ole Miss being the underdog here. They're the underdog in their game, and that market's telling you they are the 4th seeded ranked team out of these left. It tells you also Oregon, if they beat Indiana, they are going to be right neck and neck. Miami, Oregon, their prices are very similar. That's almost maybe telling you it might be a pick 'em. But it also tells you that Indiana is the clear leader, not by a crazy amount. They're still at plus money, but the clear leader, which I would think is the correct decision there with having Indiana. They already beat Oregon last time they played, and I just think they're the best team. Any thoughts around those prices? Any surprises, or pretty much status quo what you were thinking?
Yeah, just about what I was thinking. I mean, I still have that Oregon ticket in my back pocket, but we'll talk about these 2 games and see where we're going.
We will talk about these 2 games, and we are going to start with the first game because it is the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. This is played on Thursday, January 8th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We have the 12-2 number 10 seed Miami Hurricanes taking on the 13-1 number 6 seed Ole Miss Rebels. Miami from the vaunted ACC. They are laying 3.5, minus 102 there. Over under sitting at 52.5. Ole Miss catching 3.5 plus or minus 118. Minus 180 on the money line for Miami, plus 150 for Ole Miss. Definitely shop around there. This number has been moving even from today. We've gotten some different numbers, so definitely shop around based on where you want to get the best price. We are reading these from DraftKings as well as where the futures prices were for. Like every show, just kind of keep it simple with the most generic book in DraftKings, and then we give you some prices shopping from there. Verbo Fiesta Bowl, this is in State Farm Stadium where the Arizona Cardinals play. Glendale, Arizona. We typically talk about weather, but both these games are played in retractable roofs, which I was looking up like what constitutes when the roof is open or closed. Basically, if it's any weather at all, or if it's a little bit cold, it'll be a dome essentially.
Right.
So football is officially an indoor sport according to these stupid corporate executives. I do not agree with it at all, but it is what it is for both these games. The weather will not be a factor. And even if it is, it's high 50s in Arizona on Thursday. So it should not be an issue for either team. Very curious on where you're going, where you're taking us. You have been the master of the college football playoffs so far, so it's only right for you to kick us off. Break this one down for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an interesting one just because you have that high flying Ole Miss offense that just puts up points left and right. I mean,
right.
If we look back at their past 5 games, they put up 39, 41, 38, 34, 49. I mean, they score against everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. I mean, Georgia's defense is pretty damn good, and they
Right.
put up 39 on them. So,
Yep.
but then you have the Miami team that has one of the better defenses, left in the playoff,
Yep.
and their front four is just menacing to about anybody.
Yeah.
But I think with this one, I think I'm gonna go with Ole Miss, partially because of the way that they play offense. I mean,
Yeah.
Miami has 2 losses on the year to Louisville and SMU, I
Mhm.
believe,
Yep.
who both play offense fairly similar to Ole Miss, and both of them gave Miami some trouble earlier in the year. Now, obviously, it was a month and a half ago, but I think that Trinidad Chambliss can get things going a little bit once again. I think both of these teams have some pretty strong storylines behind them.
Yeah.
And Ole Miss is on a fuck you run here, and I think that they're going to continue to be able to use that in this semifinal game. So give me Ole Miss and the points in this one.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on the same side as you. I will be taking Ole Miss plus the 3.5 as well. You broke down a lot of what I was going to talk about here. I think this is a matchup of styles, right?
Yep.
First, let's talk about the coaches, right? You've got Pete Golding, who is the former DC, who is coaching now his 3rd game. He's 2-0, 2 playoff wins. Not a bad start to your tenure. And then you got Mario Cristobal. Typically, Pete Golding would be a massive coaching disadvantage, with just being so new. He's clearly just like it. If you looked at the game on the sidelines, especially again that Georgia game, like when the offense is on the field, he's not even paying attention. He is like on the the surface or whatever they're using on the tablet, trying to figure out what's going on with defense. Actually, Joe Judge is kind of running almost the head coach more game day operations, which is terrifying as someone who's on Ole Miss.
Fan, I would think so.
Watched that halftime situation where they did not even attempt a field goal. And I heard Joe Judge was in charge. As a Giants fan, I immediately had flashbacks to that Jake Fromm quarterback sneak. That was painful. But Mario Cristobal is not a great coach. There's really, I understand he brings in talent, he develops the trenches, but in-game coaching, not a strong suit.
And he's not. I think that's where you're going. If he's given plenty of time to prepare for a school, he had 3 weeks before the first matchup.
Yep, week and a half.
2 weeks before the second round, and going back to their other biggest win was Notre Dame, which was their first game of the season.
Right.
So he had all off season. Other than that, they've beaten some decent teams, but those were by far the same caliber, of an Ole Miss.
Yes, and this is the exact team that gives Miami problems, like you were alluding to with Louisville and SMU, right? You've got a quarterback who can move around a little bit, who's got a dynamic arm, and you've got some stud skill players, right? Ohio State had half of that equation. They have the skill players, right? But I don't know they have the quarterback. And even then, Julian Sayin, he threw for almost 300 yards. The pick six really changed that game, right? And the lack of a running game.
They won the second half. It was that slow start. They couldn't get things rolling in the first half. They throw a pick six. When you start 14-0,
it's a tough hole
to
get out of against that defense. Then that become one dimensional. And Ohio State struggled to run the ball all year. Ole Miss, on the other hand, this is the number 2 offense in yards wise. They're a top 10 scoring offense. They have Kewan Lacey, who is one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in college football. And then you have Trinidad Chambliss, who is an absolute stud, right? And he's got dudes all over the field he can throw to. I think this is exactly the type of team that gives Miami problems here. And this is going to lead me into some of the props. I think Ole Miss is absolutely live on the money line. When Miami struggles, it's because of their pass defense. They give up over 200 yards a game, much better against the run. They have a really good scoring defense, obviously, but when they gave up 287 yards to Julian Sand, they gave up 365 yards to Kevin Jennings. Give me Trinidad Chambliss over 256.5 passing yards.
Who has had success prior to this year in a playoff setting as well. I mean,
yes.
The dude's already won a couple natties.
Yeah, D2 Ferris State took them to a national championship just last season. Having that experience is a great call there. But over on Bet365, that was the lowest number I could find, 256.5. He has hit this number in 10 out of 12 games. He's only not hit this twice since starting. Miami secondary, I know Scott back there is someone you got to worry about from a turnover standpoint, but they're young and unproven. And I understand those edge rushers. They are great. Bain and Mesidor, you got Moten in the middle. Yeah, it's a good group, right? But Ole Miss has the speed and the scheme and the type of go-go offense that can tire out those pass rushers, and Trinidad Chambliss is elusive enough to make some plays with his legs. So I like Chambliss there. And then going with that, Degen Stribling, one of his top wide receivers, over 52.5 receiving yards. That's over at FanDuel. He's hit this in his last 4 games. He's kind of emerged as Stribling's one of his favorites targets, him and Wallace. I think he's a big play guy that Miami, again, younger secondary, can be susceptible to the big plays. Like, that's the biggest difference to me. Ole Miss's offensive firepower is just something that Ohio State has struggled with the big plays all year. Jeremiah Smith, they were there, right? And there was a couple plays on tape. He had one at Cardinal State that he missed that would have been an 80-yard bomb. Trinidad Chambliss has shown he can hit those plays all year against a good defense like Georgia. He's done them again in the SEC. And I think Stribling and them are going to have a big game. What I will say, though, one clear deficiency on the Ole Miss defensive side, because they're not the best defense. They're a top 35 unit, but they are not great against the rush. Gave up almost 150 yards a game. Took Nate Frazier last week against them. I took the Tulane running back against them. I am taking Mark Fletcher over 85.5 rushing yards. It's a big number, minus 115, Bet365, but he's 2 for 2 in the playoffs. You can run on Ole Miss. Just saw this the past 2 playoff games. And we talked about you got to simplify Carson Beck. Miami's going to lean on the run game as much as they can. Now, I think it eventually gets to the point where they have to throw the ball because of the go-go offense for Ole Miss. And give me Trinidad Chambliss 10 days out of the week over Carson Beck. So that's why game-wise I'm picking that. But I do like Mark Fletcher. Touchdowns here really quick. Trinidad Chambliss plus 225 anytime touchdown on DraftKings. He's got 8 touchdowns this year. It's a gotta-have-it game. And if you want a little bit of a Degen sprinkle, 2 touchdowns at 22-1 over on Bet365. He has 8 touchdowns on the season. 6 of those touchdowns have come in 3 games, meaning he has scored 2 touchdowns in 3 times this season. 22-1 is just way too juicy of a number in a game that I think is going to have some points on both sides. And I do think Trinidad Chambliss, whether it's around the red zone or it's a long run, I think he finds the end zone once at least, if not twice. And then on the Miami side, I did it 2 weeks ago. I'm going to do it again. Malachi Toney, anytime touchdown, plus 105. It's just too easy of a number to press at plus money. He was the only touchdown scored in the A&M game. He's got 9 touchdowns. He's second on the team behind Mark Fletcher, who I think has like 10 or 11. But Fletcher is like minus 250. So I don't understand the discrepancy in price there. If you're going to give me Malachi Toney at plus money, I'm going to take it, whether it's through the air or on the ground. They really like to get him involved. So those are the props and the touchdowns for...
You got any other props?
Nope, that is it for the Fiesta.
So I do have one more play.
Okay.
Go ahead and take the over in this one. If you weren't paying attention, all of your props were overs. All offensive props are overs. Throughout 2 or 3 touchdowns. Ole Miss has only not gone over this number once in the last 4 games, and it was 51 in that Tulane game where they completely stepped off the gas. It flew over this past week, flew over against their rival Mississippi State, and then sadly in this against your Gators as well. To your point, I think Miami is going to be able to run on them. I think they are going to be able to put up some points against Ole Miss. Go ahead and take the over in this one.
Over 52.5. Yeah, it's definitely something I've already kind of played in the personal thing, and I do like that play as well because and for us being on Ole Miss, I think it needs to be a little bit of a higher scoring game,
Agreed.
right? I don't want to get in a slugfest. That's Miami has won 2 games in a row, dragging teams into a slugfest.
And I think that's where, I think people will be afraid to take the over because, they held Ohio State to 14 points. They held Texas A&M to 3 points, both of which had the Buckeyes have an okay offensive line. Texas A&M's is pretty good. In their past 5 games, the most a team scored is 17 points, and that was Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. This is not the same offense that Miami's had to face really pretty much the entire season. I mean, this is probably going to be the most explosive offense that they have seen. So, yeah, I think this one's going to fly over the 52.
And yeah, just to reiterate, it can't be understated. This is the least amount of prep they've had since the regular season. Like when Miami lost those 2 games to SMU and Louisville, it was in the middle of the grind of the season and things get lost and you don't get to prepare as well. We're right back here. And if there's one offense that's probably the hottest in America right now, it's Ole Miss and Trinidad Chambliss. So, yeah, we are both on Ole Miss. And just because you mentioned my Gators, Jaden Ball officially back. Run the damn ball, baby. Excited. John Summerall doing a great job with roster retention. But we're moving on. All right. I will stop talking about my Gators who sucked last year. But better times, greener pastures in the swamp there. All right. Next game on the slate. We've got on Friday, January 9th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Chick-fil-A will be open on Friday there in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. You've got the 13-1, number 5 team in the land, Oregon Ducks, taking on the 14-0, number 1 team, Indiana Hoosiers. The Oregon Ducks are catching 3.5 points there, minus 112. The over-under sitting at 46.5. The Indiana is obviously laying 3.5, minus 180 on the money line, plus 150 there, going the other way for the Ducks as the dog. Another retractable roof, 65 and partly cloudy anyway, but we'll see if that's too much weather for the folks there in Atlanta and those corporate fools that now run the sport. So a rematch. Last time these 2 teams played, October 11th in Autzen Stadium. Final score, Indiana 30, Oregon Ducks 20.
Yep.
We've got a new ball game. The last couple of rematches have not gone the victor's way. Alabama beat Oklahoma after losing earlier. Ole Miss just beat Georgia after losing earlier in the season.
Yep.
Are they going to make it 3 for 3, or are you backing the team that won last game?
Well, one, it'll be 3 for 4 because Ole Miss did absolutely destroy Tulane for a second time.
Good point.
But I do think that Indiana is going to run the table here and take down the Ducks. I mean, Indiana's defense is awesome, and they gave Dante Moore fits the first time at home. Out there in Eugene, there was a little bit of weather in that game, but I don't think it really matters. I mean, Indiana's front 4 are dominant. At the same time, I do think that Oregon's defense is pretty damn good as well. I mean, I think the biggest thing here is I trust Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, a little bit more than Dante Moore. I mean, Dante Moore had an okay game against Texas Tech, but he definitely didn't, show me that he should be deserving of, a top 3 pick in the NFL draft this coming April. But give me Indiana and give me Indiana laying the points in this.
3.5 minus 108 over there on DraftKings. I think it's a steal of a price. I am shocked.
I know I already have that Oregon ticket, but I think Indiana's just on a roll here. I mean, they've been a wagon pretty much the entire season, and that 4-week gap that they had to endure, they just took it to Alabama. So
I mean, hey, the Oregon at 8 or 9 to 1, whatever you got it at, was still got some value. I mean, who knows with the way this playoffs are going? If they pull off the upset here, I think they might even be the favorite in the championship, whether it's Miami or Ole Miss, right? So the winner of this game has a great opportunity to take it all down. Thankfully, I'm on your side again. Give me Indiana minus 3.5, minus 108 there. Rematch. Look, that was in Autzen where they won by 10. And you talked about Dante Moore. I thought early on he looked pretty good, but man, that game should have been way worse against Texas A&M,
they
right?
just couldn't
Texas Tech.
couldn't take advantage of
Many squandered opportunities.
Yes.
I mean, his defense was setting him up perfectly, and they were settling for field goals. It wasn't until the defensive end basically took it out of the quarterback's hand and got him on the 5-yard line that they finally scored a touchdown.
Right.
Dante Moore, and this was a defense that had him in hell last time they played. He had negative 30 rushing yards. He was sacked a ton. Yep. He threw an interception. He did not look good. And let's not forget, this was 30-20, but the Oregon offense didn't score 20 points. Mendoza threw a pick 6 in that hostile environment. So they only scored, 13 points as an offense at home. Right. Now we're on a neutral site there in Atlanta, Georgia. I love this Indiana team. Kirk Cignetti, I don't know how you can fade him they're just so well coached. They're so disciplined. They're always in the right spot. They rally. They don't get shattered. Like, they came out ready to go. There was no rust, none of that. Like, this team is a well-oiled machine that I want no part of fading. Nope. I am shocked, honestly, when I saw that. I think this opened up at like 4.5 or 5, and then it was at 4, and now it's at 3.5. I am shocked. I mean, the public must be hammering the dog in Oregon. I don't understand that. I think people are really just dealing with a cognitive dissonance of like, Indiana, there's no way Indiana can beat Oregon.
It's hard to win twice or beat a team twice. Yeah.
Newsflash, they just beat the living shit out of Alabama.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, in the last 10, 15 years, if I've seen Alabama lose that badly in a game. Like, they got dog walked. So give me Indiana.
And I think one other thing is, like, Oregon's defense is pretty solid.
Yeah,
but it's good unit. To me, it's a pretty basic defense, and you, if you're going to slow Fernando Mendoza down, you have to trick him, you have to slow him down, you have to speed him up, and I don't know if Oregon's going to necessarily be able to do that. They didn't at home, a couple months ago, and I think overall Oregon's defense is okay, but with the caliber of mind that Fernando Mendoza has, you have to mess with that. Like, he's got all the physical traits, but he also has something between his ears. And if you're not going to, Matt Patricia, probably the best defensive coordinator in the country, if not one of the best.
Yeah, I think
was able to slow them down in the Big Ten championship. Nobody else has, and I don't know if Oregon's necessarily going to be able to do that.
Oregon's both their coordinators are already took head coaching jobs. Stein's at Kentucky and the DC is at Cal, I believe.
Yep.
So I mean, portal's open. That much they've looked focused, but it's hard to do 2 jobs, man. It's hard to be a head coach and a coordinator at the same time with the transfer portal. So that's worth mentioning as well. Also, here's what I think is the biggest thing that's gonna decide this game. Oregon is a middle of the road rush defense. They give up over 100 yards per game.
Yep.
Indiana is an absolute machine. They're a balanced, they're a number 3 scoring offense, and it's because they're balanced. They're a top 12 rush offense. They average over 220 yards a game. Yep. So this brings me into my props for Fernando Mendoza over 20.5 rush yards, minus 115 over at Bet365.
He rushed against Bama.
I think Herb Street said it best. He didn't go for a ton of yards against Bama, but in nice spots, key spots when he had to have it, he used his legs. I think he called him a baby giraffe, baby deer legs, is what they say in the military, about when you're running all jacked up, let's say. So, but hey, 31 rush yards the last time he played Oregon. And that Alabama game, like, one, he needed the ball out, and 2, he didn't need to run after the first quarter. The game was out of hand by then. So I do think that Oregon's going to keep it a little bit closer than Bama does. I do think they're a better team than Bama. But Mendoza over 20.5 rush yards. Also, Roman Hemby over 55.5 rush yards, minus 114 over at FanDuel. Again, you can run on Oregon. He had 70 yards the last time against Oregon. Now, Indiana, Black has kind of taken over the backfield a little bit, but that's what it may seem. But when you look at the carries numbers, they're basically splitting carries. Black's numbers in the 70s. I think there's some value here on Hemby, who, he was the lead guy, and now it's kind of been a split backfield. But
Right.
You can run on Oregon. I think there's going to be a lot of rush attempts between the both of them. I think both of them had long runs for a touchdown against Alabama. He's hit this in 3 out of his last 4. So in a backfield that's basically a toss-up, they kind of go to the hot hand, but both guys get carries. I'm going to take the lower number here against a poor rush defense. So give me Hemby and Mendoza over the rushing. And then on the Oregon side, give me Noah Whittington under 44.5 rush yards, minus 114 over at FanDuel. Look, there's a little bit of the game script. Both Derek and I think Indiana are going to have a lead. Oregon and Steins can tend to get away from the run if the game is starting to, it seems like it's getting a little bit out of hand. Also, you have, as doorbell's ringing, so my dog is loving that. Also, you have a situation where Oregon has a stable of backs, right? They have the kid Hill, who's kind of a little bit of their speedster. They have Jordan Davison, who's been coming along of late. He's been getting a lot of the carries. So he only had 27 yards, did Whittington, against Indiana last time. He's hit the number. He's gone under this number 2 out of the last 3 games here. So I like this for more ways than one. So Noah Whittington under 44.5 rush yards. Do you have a play on the over-under in this one?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I've touched on kind of both sides of this already, but I mean, Indiana's defense has been rock solid pretty much the entire season. I think the last time they gave up 20 points was to Penn State at Happy Valley. And I think overall, Oregon's defense, like I said, it's a pretty solid unit. I just don't know if they're going to be able to slow Indiana down enough for them to get the win. But I think it'll be good enough to go under. If it wasn't for that pick 6, which is just a variance thing, this game would have went under, back in October, November, whenever they played the first time. But Indiana offensively hasn't necessarily, blown teams out for the most part. I mean, yes, they blew out Purdue to finish out the season. But other than that, if we're looking at the last 4 games that they've played, other than that Purdue game where they won 56-3, they had a total of 41, 23, and 38. I mean, they don't necessarily, or they haven't been necessarily scoring a ton of points. They've just been dragging people into the deep end and cutting them off. So I'm taking the under in this one.
Yeah, I mean, even with that offensive explosion last week, right, 38-3, that would have went under. Now, I don't expect it to be quite as lopsided, but a 24-10.
Oregon's defense is much better than Alabama's.
Right, 24-10 or, 21-14 or something like that, right?
28.
No, I like it. All right, I'll finish it up with some anytime touchdowns, and then we'll do our best bets here. I've just got 2 in this one. Obviously, both at plus money. On the Indiana side, give me Omar Cooper Jr., anytime touchdown, plus 150 over at FanDuel. I just think this price did not make sense. He's second on the team in touchdowns. He's got 12 on the year. And Elijah Surratt has 13, but Elijah Surratt's number is closer to like just even money. I think at plus 150, this is a smash play here. He's also scored a touchdown in 6 out of the last 7 games. He's on a crazy streak tear. Really, obviously, him and Surratt are both. I could see them both in the end zone, but Cooper's got the better number. He's been a little bit more consistent there. So that's for the Indiana side. And then the Oregon side, a guy who scored in the last matchup, Malik Benson, the transfer from FSU, anytime touchdown plus 240 on DraftKings. He's 3rd on the team in touchdowns. He's got, I believe, 6 on the year, and he's got 3 touchdowns in the last 3 games. He's a little bit of their big play threat. I think that sometimes Indiana has been caught napping a little bit, trying to get a little bit too aggressive, and it's gone against him. So I think Malik Benson, I think they're going to be leaning on the pass game, so he's going to get some opportunities there. At plus 240, I just think that is way too much value for a guy who's 3rd on its team in touchdowns, especially in the college games. Their touchdown prices are a little bit crazy. Right. But yeah, that is where we stand. So as a quick recap here, Derek and I are both on Ole Miss. He's on the over 52.5. I'm on Trinidad Chambliss over passing and Stribling over receiving. Mark Fletcher over rushing, and on Chambliss, anytime touchdown, 2 touchdowns, and Malachi Toney to find the end zone. And then for the Peach Bowl, we are both on Indiana minus 3.5. He's on the under. Derek is on the under 46.5. I am on Mendoza and Hemby over rushing, Whittington under rush, and then Cooper and Benson to find the end zone. And it is now time for our best segments of the episode. So I'll let you kick it off as always. We'll do a lock and a dog, and one of us has a parlay this week.
Yep. Well, I mean, lock and dog, kind of pretty easy in my opinion in this one. I'm gonna lock up Indiana. I think that they're just on a roll, and their front four on the defensive side of things is just gonna continue to haunt Dante Moore.
Yeah.
Dog wise, there's only one. Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss on the money line at plus 145, plus 150, whatever you can get it at.
What a card you gave out. I liked it so much. It's my card as well. Yeah, locking up the Indiana Hoosiers minus 3.5, minus 108 there on DraftKings. And then Ole Miss money line plus 145. Hotty toddy, baby. I think that, look, we got some small spreads. They won for me on the money line last week as a dog, going up against arguably a better defense. I feel like Miami and Georgia are very similar teams, right?
Agreed.
I feel like Miami's almost built the way they're like trying to be like Georgia. And I talk about that from a recent success standpoint.
Yes.
The trenches, the defense, the coach, whatever.
Yep.
But Trinidad Chambliss just took what I think is a better team down.
Yep.
Why not step into the ranks here with ACC foe Miami? Now, you have a parlay this week. I have opted out of the parlay with all my props and things there.
Yeah, one way that you could take all four of my plays, you could just round robin them because I have been 3-1 each of the last 2 weeks. But give me Indiana minus 3.5 and the under in that game. Give me Ole Miss plus 3.5 and the over in that game. A nice little 12-1 play.
There we go. So your lock is Indiana minus 3.5. Your moneyline dog is Ole Miss, and you take all four of his plays. That is Indiana to cover the under and Ole Miss to cover in the over. 12-1.
Nope.
I have a very, very similar card. Give me Indiana as the lock and Ole Miss on the money line as the dog. And that will just about do it here. What do you got for the people before we get on out of here?
Hey, I mean, this is probably the best week of the year. We got Thursday College Football Playoff, Friday College Football Playoff. We're doing our NFL show tomorrow because the NFL playoffs start Saturday and run through Sunday. And we got a Monday night game that I will be definitely watching. Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Texans on Monday night. But yeah, definitely want to check out the NFL show that comes out tomorrow night. We've been on a pretty hot run over on the NFL side of things over the last month and a half. But as always, we're still looking for that 1,000 subscribers. Go ahead and just tap that subscribe, like, follow button, whatever you got there. We greatly appreciate all of the support that you guys have been throwing out throughout the year. But yeah, drop in the comments what you guys are going to be playing this weekend. And best of luck to all of you on your bets.
Yeah, you go. Unless you're fading us. Then
then
worst of luck. Worst of luck.
Right.
But yeah, look, Derek said it might be. For me, this is the best football week of the year. And it started last night, actually, on Monday.
True.
Hopefully you trained into that FCS championship.
Yeah.
Shout out Illinois State Redbirds, Montana State Bobcats, an overtime thriller. And again, as we always say, never trust a college kicker. Insane decision by the coaches to not go for it on 4th and 1. But hey, we've got college football Thursday, Friday, and we've got you covered for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, hitting almost at 70% and hitting a 500-1. You're going to want to check out that episode. We're just coming off a massive, massive week in the NFL. It's going to get even better. So, look, folks, you know what they say. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the Degen Docs, we've got your prescription. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. And from Professor Locks and Doc here on DFSG Plus, we are out of here.